All right, let's move on to Missy Elliott and Super Dupa Fly. Album came out July 16th, 1997. In the opening montage, you heard The Rain, Super Dupa Fly, and then now you're going to hear Sock It To Me. Okay, Matt, what are the stats?
Super Dupa Fly by Missy Elliott comes in number 488 in the 1990s on Best Ever Albums, number 45 in 1997, number 2,832 of all time. It is Missy Elliott's highest rated album on Best Ever Albums. It's the only album we're covering tonight that made Rolling Stone's list, coming at number 98, cracking the top 100 on that list. And Missy Elliott ranked number 1,171 of overall artists' rankings on Best Ever Albums.
So she was born Melissa Arnett Elliott on July 1st, 1971, right across the bay from Steve Earle's town in Fort Monroe in Portsmouth, Virginia. So that's a funny coincidence.
Look at Josh with the geography pull there. Well done.
I was looking at Google Maps when you were talking.
I thought you were going to be like, I lived in Virginia. Didn't you live in Virginia for a few years, Josh?
Yes. I've lived there, but not part of Virginia. She's appeared on some other albums and singles that we've covered. Not Tonight was the big group effort. Cold Rock Party, the MC Light song, she was on that, or a remix of that. And Aaliyah's One in a Million, she is on that as well, but this is her debut album as a solo artist. She has 6 studio albums, with the last one being in 2005. She did put out an EP in 2019 called Iconology, so that's kind of her most recent work. But I think she's primarily kind of either retired or doing, the TV circuit or doing production stuff in the background. Genres are hip-hop and R&B influences. Pretty much everyone we have covered: Salt and Pepper, MC Light, Queen Latifah, Roxanne Shante. Similar artists would be Nicki Minaj, Lizzo, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, and Beyonce. Work It reached number 2 on the Hot 100, and then her 2001 album Miss E, So Addictive, and her 2005 album The Cookbook both reached number 2 on the Billboard 200. Some fun facts. So in 1988, she was part of an all-women's R&B group called Phase, which caught the attention of Devontae Swing of Jodeci. And so he had an imprint.
Which is like an all-time great R&B name, isn't it? Like, you really can't do better than Devontae Swing.
You're right.
As a
It's
name.
Almost like, is that name made up? But it's not.
It's like Max Power
right.
of R&B. Mm-hmm.
So he had a imprint called Swing Mob on Elektra Records. So she got signed to that. Well, the group got name signed to that, and they renamed the group Sista. Along for the ride was Timbaland and Magoo, who they were both friends of Missy Elliott in the same neighborhood. So they kind of grew up together, and Timbaland at this point was already rapping and producing beats. So Elliott and Timbaland were kind of the most prominent names, but the Swing Mob was a musical collective, kind of like Native Tongues and some of the other groups we've talked about. And so artists on that imprint and group were Genuine, Tweet, who comes later, who I remember, the R&B group Playa, and then some associated like producers and engineers as well. So there was about 20 different people in this group. Obviously Missy Elliott and Timbaland are probably the most famous. By 95, the Swing Mob had dispersed, but Missy Elliott and Timbaland, were doing good work, and they worked as songwriters and producers for groups such as SWV, 702, and then famously Aaliyah. That was kind of a big breakout for them. Elliott's solo career started after this. She was rapping on Bad Boy Records remixes, and Sean Puffy Combs had hoped to sign her to Bad Boy, but she decided to form her own imprint label under Elektra. So she recorded this album at Master Sound Studios in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and the album is produced entirely by Timbaland, and the first single was The Rain, Super Dupa Fly, which featured the famous music video directed by Hype Williams. I went back and watched that this week. That was fun. The album went platinum. It was nominated for Best Rap Album at the 98 Grammys, but lost to Puff Daddy's No Way Out album, which we were all not very high on, or at least John and I were, because I think Jeff was on that episode.
Yep.
And
he wasn't either.
Yeah, right. And the video is nominated for Best Rap Video at the 97 MTV VMAs, but lost to Notorious B.I.G.'s Hypnotize video. Interestingly, she took part in the 1998 Lilith Fair. She was the first rapper to do so after this album came out, and then she joined Jay-Z's Rock the Mic tour also. And then, crazily, more recently, she went on tour in 2024, and it was her first headlining tour of her career. So it was called Out of This World, the Missy Elliott Experience Tour, and featured, so that was the first time headlining a rap tour.
Wow.
Yeah. And her tour featured Timbaland, Busta Rhymes, and Ciara as opening acts throughout the tour. And she performed at Coachella last month in April of 2025. So that was another big appearance for her on that big music festival. So I think we're all pretty familiar with the video of The Rain. It's like burned into my brain. I think now we're reaching the point where I remember videos. I think I've watched videos of all three of these artists this week and remember them. So
Josh came alive in 1997. So
I was turned on. So
he finally got cable, apparently.
That might be true. I don't know. I don't remember.
Take
when
forever,
I got cable.
dude.
So Matt, let's start with you. What did you think of Missy Elliott and Dupa Fly?
I knew very little on this record. I
really like the songs you didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
nothing really stood out a ton for me. Man, Timbaland's great. The production of this album is fantastic. The beats are really. I mean, and that's what I'm gravitating more towards than anything. I'll let you guys talk more about her lyrics and stuff like that. But I like her. I do like her flow. I was kind of surprised. I'm listening to this record a couple times, and I'm thinking, man, the vibe here is pretty chill. Like, right? There's not a ton of like really upbeat, kind of like banger songs. This is more of like a mellow, relaxed vibe, and I found that a little surprising, right? But not a bad thing. I kind of like that. I kind of like that type of vibe, along with the pretty infectious beats that that Timbaland has here. And I think it just all melds really well together. Sock It To Me, that's like, but that might be probably the biggest like upbeat banger. I mean, that's just that beat is just, as soon as it comes on, it's just infectious. The horn part there is just really, really cool. I'm assuming it's Debrat there that's rapping ridiculously fast. Yes. And I'm just like, okay, wow, that's hard to keep up with that, but I didn't know Debrat had that in her, so I hadn't heard her rap like that before. And I thought that it's just the flow of this album is pretty good, just like from one song to the next. It was interesting when I first heard Friendly Skies. I was kind of like listening to that and going, man, this has got that Genuine kind of like rat sound. Yeah. And of course, like Genuine's on it, so I'm like, all right, now I know Genuine's calling card, which I'm still not a fan of that. I found that at least in this song, as opposed to the Ride the Pony song, whatever. Like, yes. Like that was way in your face. Yes. This is at least is a little bit more in the background, so it didn't bother me as much. I still don't like it. I don't like. It's just not a sound that's terribly pleasing to me, but I found it a little bit more tolerable, I guess you could say, on this one. I also like the mix of kind of, there's a good amount of R&B on here. This doesn't strike me as a full-blown rap or hip-hop, probably rap album, I would say. Hip-hop's probably a little bit more of a bigger umbrella term, but I like the kind of the R&B addition in here, certainly the song that like Best Friends that's got Aaliyah in it, that certainly has it. And some other songs too that's kind of that really provides more depth and more variety to the record and makes it more interesting. So I did like that. I always get a chuckle out of Busta Rhymes coming in, and especially the yo, and he gets,
you got to first say yo about for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, and he and
or luckily yeah, something always
And lucky for us, we get the bookend, right? He does the intro and the outro. So that's always, and I like the fact that it's like not even 2 minutes. It's like, okay, let Busta Rhymes do his thing. And then just not make that too too much a part of the record. So I kind of like that. I got a chuckle out of it, but I really think the combination of Missy Elliott with her voice, her flow, and with Timbaland's production is really what I enjoyed the most here. But just the vibes too. This is kind of like a record you could kind of put on, at any time really, and find something to connect with. So yeah, overall I enjoyed it. It's a thumbs up for me.
Yeah, I mean, Missy brought all the guests on this one, right? Yeah. She's got like the whole Virginia crew. So she's got Timbaland, Magoo, and Aaliyah are all here, right? In different versions. She brings Busta Rhymes, Lil Kim, Da Brat's here, 702 showing up for their part. Genuine comes, Nicole is on it. There's like all kinds of people, right? Like each song, it feels like there's like a different guest. So that's pretty cool because I think of Missy Elliott being very collaborative. Like I definitely remember this album. I mean, you have that like big 3 singles that hit all in a row, like Sock It To Me, The Rain, and Beat Me 911, which were on the radio like all the time, which I remember. Sock It To Me is like maybe a top 10 hip hop song of the 90s really for me. It's such a fucking good song. Yeah. It's like, it's all the elements that make Missy great in that A, it's got an incredible beat. B, it's her singing and rapping and change. It's avant-garde in some ways, like this out of left field. It has a great guest piece on it that doesn't overstay its welcome, but like adds to it in the case of Da Brat's part. And yeah, it's almost like if you were going to start somewhere, there's a lot of places you could start with Missy, but that's as good a place as you can. And that also has a very memorable video too. The Rain is the one that I think everybody always thinks of first because the gigantic garbage bags and the fisheye lens and the colors and stuff like that. It became the Hype Williams signature, right? Yep. But yeah, it's hard for me to think of Missy divorced from Timbaland, right? Because this is some of the earliest Timbaland beats I can remember, right? And to me, they're like peanut butter and jelly in some ways. That what Missy is doing, which is she's this sort of kind of creative genius within hip hop. She takes these angles that you'd never expect, and they even when they don't fully work, they're always interesting, and that's what I like about Missy. She's sort of like an act in any music where you become popular, but you're undeniably who you are, and you really can't do Missy, right? Like you just can't. Like there's nobody else really who does what she does. There's people who could sing hooks. There's people who sort of do like empowerment feminist like stuff. There's people that like drop, bangers, maybe a little bit like what we'd call like avant-garde hip hop. There's all people that do that, but Missy's kind of the only person that can do it commercially enough to be played on the radio and MTV, but also be strange enough that you can appreciate it as sort of a out of left field type version of hip hop, which is what I really appreciate about her. She's also very, very funny as a lyricist with different stuff. The songs always make me laugh because they can go from very specific to like very obscure, even within the same song some different times. And the themes of her songs can be as direct as like Pass the Blunt sometimes, or like she can write a sex song like Sock It To Me, but it's a really funny version of like a sex song, you know what I mean? That it's not like fully like a traditional sex song because it's like all over the place, like part vulnerable, part boastful, stuff like that. And she throws in funny ways of saying things like do a long throw with the backstroke, which is just an extremely funny way to like get across that, what she's trying to get across there, shall we say. She also like can write like a very pro woman, like I hate stupid fucking assholes, like a No Scrub song, but then she calls it like Don't Be Coming In My Face, which is hilarious on its own, like, so it's basically like I hate all these stupid fucking assholes who like spit their game at me and stuff, but also like has a double entendre in it as well. So that's what I'm saying, there's always like added layers of creativity. She truly is an artist, within the concept, visually, musically, like the syncretic nature of her music. She really is, she pieces it all together, right? She gives you the visuals, she gives you the music and the beats, she gives you the words to think about, she gives you sonic templates, and that's the word I always describe about Missy. She's like, when you listen to her, you're always interested in what she's doing. And, this album, I think we're going to do Missy, So Addictive, and I think we got another one. I think we do 3 in total, 3 or 4 in total Missy Elliott albums. But this is the one that broke her. This is almost like her saying, okay, I've been singing enough hooks, and doing guest vocals. Now I'm going to kind of show the world what I can do. And I think she was also smart enough to know that she needed like something visual when she was coming out, because remember the female artist she was coming out to, it wasn't like Queen Latifah, MC Light anymore, right? Or Yo-Yo, right? Now she's competing with like Little Kim and Foxy Brown and all of these people that have like a hyper-sexed like image a little bit to some degree, and they're younger and stuff like that. And like I think Missy was smart enough to know like my lane, I have full confidence in what I'm doing musically, but let me present like a different visual in terms of what I'm presenting. And that's where I said she really was ahead of the curve a lot. So strong thumbs up. I've always really liked this album.
Yeah, this is a great album. I think I underappreciated her during this era. I've always liked her, but going back to this album and thinking about her in like the context of her career, like John said, made me appreciate like how creative she was and kind of how outside of the box that she was compared to other female artists or just artists at the time. I kind of equate her now more with Outkast in terms of like doing something that's kind of off the beaten path and but still being commercial. I really appreciated the fact that she was able to rap and sing on this album. I think that's kind of a unique thing that not a lot of people were doing at the time. And I just really like her kind of like weirdness and like psychedelia that she brings to not only her songs, but like the videos. And that's something I didn't think about at the time as well. She like John said, she's being herself and like having fun with it, but also like has enough talent to back up her weirdness and her different things that creativity that she's trying to do. The perfect example is her the Hype Williams video for The Rain. Like that's so kind of unique and creative and memorable, and as a result I think this album holds up really well because I think it's creative throughout. Timbaland's definitely an essential part of the production on this album and the beats, like Matt said. He certainly had his moment in the late 90s, early 2000s, like where he was the producer. I mean, there's like so many songs that he produced that I can think of that I like, but her rapping is great. She's not afraid to be silly, like John said, and the guest stars. I like her collaborative nature, and I feel like there's not, from what I read, she just is kind of like good natured, and there's never been like beef with people, or I think everyone kind of like, she gets along with everyone. So like they all seem, there's like 1 million people that show up in the Rain video, like briefly like dancing. And I think that's just a testament to her being collaborative from being a songwriter, producer before this and after, and then also just I think maybe her personality from what I'm guessing. But yeah, this is a strong album. I think it's better than I remember it too. That was another fun thing, and it's also there's enough variety, and I didn't lose interest, and I liked the combination of the rap and R&B kind of mixture on this album is too, that kept me interested and didn't kind of wear me down at all. So yeah, it's a thumbs up. It's actually one of the stronger rap albums I think that I've enjoyed recently that we've discussed.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So kind of a maybe underappreciated at the time, but I think she's now appreciated and respected a lot, and maybe at the time too. But I guess I never put her in the category of other kind of like higher echelon artists, rappers, but I think she's up there.
Well, I mean, I think it speaks to the fact there aren't many rappers in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? And she's one of the first ones they decided to put in, so that should tell you kind of. She's also someone that if someone said they didn't like rap or hip hop, she'd be one of the first artists I would put in front of people to kind of counter that argument, because she does some things that are different. Yeah.
And one of the genres here, avant funk. That
Yeah.
makes me I like that. I'm like,
But it
what is
works.
avant funk? And like, it sounds like avant funk, you know? Like, I didn't know that was a thing, but yeah.